I still hear the whistle, a single hollow cry tearing through the Siberian night, the sound every prisoner learned to hate. That whistle meant the train was leaving, and there was no turning back. It began on a February dawn, 1941. Warsaw's cobblestones were slick with melting frost. Soldiers in gray NKVD uniforms shouted names none of us recognized, pushing us toward boxcars that smelled of manure and fear. Inside each carriage, one dim lamp, one broken bucket, and 70 strangers, Poles, Balts, Ukrainians, Jews, even a Russian priest clutching a frozen cross. Children cried for mothers already lost in the crowd. Someone whispered, "Kolima." We did not yet know that word, but it tasted like iron and snow. The doors slammed. Iron bolts crashed into place. Darkness swallowed daylight. For 7 days the train clattered east. We counted distance by the rhythm of the rails, 16 clacks to a heartbeat, 1,000 heartbeats to each sunrise we could not see. Lice bloomed in our coats. The blood on my wrist froze before it fell. When the bucket overflowed, we tried to bury shame under straw. 3 people died on the second night. Their bodies became benches for the living. At last the door screeched open. Moonlight exposed a wasteland, white ground, black pines, stars sharp as shattered glass. A wooden sign read, "Vorkuta Corrective Labor Camp No. 6. The guards called it simply Peklo. Hell, they lined us up. Numbers replaced our names. Mine was CHK 517. One guard laughed. Remember it or freeze. We received ration cards. 300 grams of bread on good days, 200 on bad. No good days in sight. We were marched past watchtowers into barracks built of rotting fur. Bunk beds stacked 4 high, blankets the color of old ash. The air smelled of wet wool and despair. 4:30 a.m. Sirens shrieked like wounded animals. Outside, -40. Axes split the silence, not the trees. We cut frozen earth for the new rail line, Stalin demanded. The artery to pump coal from Vorkuta to the front. Hands bled through mittens. Footsteps squeaked like glass shards under frost. If a man slowed, a guard shouted Order 227, not 1 step back. A second warning never came. The bullet did. At noon we lunched on soup, so thin the spoon showed through. On paper it was cabbage. In reality, mostly melted ice and hope. We learned to trade stories for warmth. Alexei, the Polish pharmacist, quoted Mickiewicz under his breath. Each stanza a protest the guards couldn't hear. Sasha, a Russian thief, stole extra firewood and shared it with the weakest. Night came early, as if ashamed of the day. We huddled together, counting stars through gaps in the roof. Someone asked, "Do you think the war will end before we do?" No one answered. Twice a year the camp allowed 1 postcard home, 50 words, inspected, censored, stamped. I wrote to my mother, "I am alive. The snow is deep. Tell Olga to water the lilacs." I knew the card would never reach Warsaw. I wrote it anyway, because sometimes faith is ink on paper no one will read. Months later, I watched the clerk toss my postcard into the stove. Ash fluttered upward like gray butterflies, tiny souls escaping. Winter bled into spring. Our brigade transferred north to Kolyma, the graveyard that glittered. Gold dust lay beneath the permafrost. Diggers worked 16 hours a shift, the wind grinding sand into their eyes. One night, even the miner found a nugget the size of a tooth. He pocketed it, dreaming of warm bread. By morning, guards discovered the theft. They stripped him, tied him to a post, poured water over his body until he turned into an icy statue, a warning more solid than words. At roll call, we saluted his frozen silhouette. Some prayed. Some envied him. Late summer 1945. Berlin had fallen. Yet our fences still stood. Rumors swept the camp. "We're going home." The guards said nothing, but new wagons arrived, fresh paint, stronger locks. On September 2nd, they called out numbers. CHK 517, my number. They marched us back to the platform where nightmares had begun. The whistle blew again, not hollow now, but final. As the wheels turned, I realized this was the last train, but it did not point west. It circled north, deeper into endless tundra. Some men cursed. Others laughed, because madness was easier than hope. I pressed my forehead against the timber wall and carved one sentence with a nail. Remember us. I did not know who would read it. Maybe a rat, maybe the wind, maybe you. If you found that carving, what would you say back? Tell us in the comments. 3 nights into the journey, the train lurched to a halt in a forest of blackened stumps. Rumor said the bridge ahead had collapsed. The guards gathered in the locomotive, arguing in whispers. Sasha, still nimble, pried a plank loose from our floor. Under the carriage, moonlight poured like silver. 5 of us dropped into the snow and sprinted for the trees. Rifle cracks shattered the quiet. Alexei stumbled first, a red bloom on white ground. 2 more fell. I dove behind a fallen trunk, breath burning my lungs. When I opened my eyes, the train was already a receding shadow. I was alone. For 9 days I crawled south, following the sun, licking icicles for water, eating pine bark until my mouth bled. On the 10th morning I saw smoke, a hunter's hut. He fed me, warmed me, then pointed to a distant ridge. Beyond that, freedom. Freedom. The word felt too large for my frost-cracked lips. I never reached Warsaw. The war had shifted borders. Home was now Soviet soil. Instead, I crossed into Sweden under a borrowed name, worked a factory press, and wrote my memories on brittle paper scraps. I mailed them to newspapers. Most ignored me. One editor replied, "Your tale is impossible. Trains don't run to the moon." He was right. Our train did not reach the moon, only a place colder, darker, where silence weighs more than gravity. Still, I kept writing, because stories are bridges stronger than steel. They carry truth across generations, long after tracks rust and camps crumble. Tonight I stand at an empty station. No whistles, no soldiers, no fear, just wind and distant city lights. I run my fingers along the wooden bench, searching for scars left by travelers before me. Somewhere under layers of paint, maybe my carving survives. Remember us. That is why I speak now. Because memory is the last train, always departing, always arriving, and we decide who gets a seat. So listen to the wheels in your own heart. Hear them echo across the snow, and when the whistle calls, answer with remembrance.